Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. I want to just start this out, right, by making something clear from the offset, right? North London is still red, right? We might have drawn today against, I was going to call them another name, but I can't even use that on this show. But another team in North London, but nope. It's still red, and if anybody tells you otherwise, they are wrong, and they don't know anything about the real football. But talking about somebody who knows nothing about the real football, and instead about some fake football, and some fake football which happens in colleges too. Even worse than fake football in colleges. What is this? Are we playing in the playground? The co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I will say, you can call it fake all you'd like, but at least we don't kick each other in the shins and call it a tackle. I'm just saying, it's one of those things where, yeah, American football is the real football. I've always known that, long known that, but more importantly, we've got Collision tonight. I'm ready to get into it. Let's talk about it. We got a fun crew. Let's just get right into it.
Absolutely. Let's get into why we're here. The wrestling AEW Collision was certainly an interesting show last night. I got given 4 stars by David Sheldon on WrestlingRepublic.com, and we're going to get into it, what we liked, what we didn't like, as per usual today. But also joining us, we have the host of Take It to the Table, Chaos. How are things, Chaos?
What's good, everybody? Happy Sunday. You know what that means. And yes, it's been a very eventful weekend for myself. Especially I was watching the North London Derby today. Awesome match. Could have went either way. To be fair, Arsenal kind of blew their chances, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I agree with you. English football is the real football. Even though I love my NFL, but yeah, it's we matched what it's called, basically. That's what it is. But anyway, that's another topic. On to the show about Collision, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, they just used their hands, similar to Tottenham, actually, because we should have had another penalty today, because they also like using their hands. But anyway, side note, I mean, I don't understand how that is apparently an unnatural position when you're kneeling down, but that is a natural position. I'll never understand.
Tune in, guys. Immediately following the show, me and Ben might break down Arsenal Tottenham.
I'd get too angry, Clark. I'd storm out of you 5 minutes in. I stormed out of my room while watching the match. That's how fuming I got. But also joining us, we have Bret Sternberg. How are you today, Bret?
I'm doing good. I'm a little offended that you called our football fake football, but everything's good. I hope everyone's having a blessed Sunday. The people that I did give concussions to while playing fake football, though, would not attest to what you just said, though. So let's get into it.
But that, were you using your feet? No. So is it football? No.
How do you walk? You use your feet, right?
Well, by that, then baseball, every sport should be called football. Any sport which has a ball should be called football. If the argument is you need to use your feet. Wrestling should be called football. The
name is probably a little off, yes, but you want to talk real and fake? There's a lot of people that cry when they get their shins touched, like you just said. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt.
I'm not.
We got to stop with the cold spray, Young Bucks.
Well, yeah. If I really wanted to, if I had to choose, I would definitely choose football than American football, because a lot of people their injuries are worse.
Biased views. You guys are in London.
No, I respect Chaos on this one. I respect Chaos on that one because I know he's an NFL fan, but I will say this: if it doesn't require a chin strap, it seems unfair to have a debate about this.
I'd rather get paid $250 a week.
What does a chin strap have to do with a football? Like
strap up.
A football implies a foot. and a ball.
Okay,
What
then
is English football? That's foot and a ball.
Then
Our
what does
football is
what does
misshapen.
rugby
Maybe
mean?
that's what I've always thought it came from.
What
do
does
you mean?
What does
Yeah,
rugby
rugby.
mean?
That's American football. American football is
Yeah.
rugby. That's what it should be called. American
No.
rugby.
No,
American
because
football.
we got pads
no.
and the hits more
Rugby
violent.
and American football are very, in terms of rules, are similar, apart from the fact that you can obviously pass forward in American football.
They're
That's
not
the big
playing on a
difference.
rug though.
Oh, for God's sake. Can we move
Yeah.
on?
I don't like rugby. I don't like rugby.
Yeah, rugby
Talking
sucks.
about
Yeah, and I've never even
sucks.
seen one cricket in cricket. Explain that one.
that one was good. Fair enough. I'll give you that one.
That's such a
I'll
dad
give you that
joke.
one. But talking about things I like, well, it seems to be everybody's favorite dad in AEW now, Christian Cage, because he is now the new TNT champion. He is no longer co-TNT champion to Luchasaurus or whatever, he wanted to claim. He is now actually the TNT champion, as he pinned Luchasaurus in a triple threat match where he took on Luchasaurus and Darby Allin. It was very much a handicap match throughout. I really enjoyed how they did this one. I said on yesterday's show, I'm not always a big fan about, I wasn't at first a big fan about this Christian Cage gimmick, him claiming he was the champion when he's not. I've grown to really like it now, and I thought that the triple threat yesterday was perfect. Darby Allin went in there. He wasn't acting dumb. He knew it was going to be a handicap match. He played his role perfectly, but in the end, Christian Cage screwed over Luchasaurus, and that's how Cage won the match. Brilliant finish, brilliant match. I'm interested to see where this goes now. We're also going to be getting Christian Cage versus Darby Allin in a 2 out of 3 falls match a week from today at AEW Wrestle Dream. I'm really scared that they are going to take the title off Christian Cage in that one. I'm just getting that feeling at this point that that's where they're heading because of this. But I hope Christian Cage has a lengthy reign with it, because he's made this championship entertaining again. And it's as simple as that, really. But Clark, give me your take on this triple threat match, which kicked off All Elite Wrestling's Collision.
I really enjoyed it, and I was impressed a ton by the finish. I mean, I didn't expect for Christian to pin Luchasaurus. I thought if Christian was going to win the title, he'd sneak in on Darby. No. He pinned Luchasaurus, and they're still buddies. I don't necessarily get that. Maybe we'll figure that out later, but I mean, we're talking about Father Christian Cage here at this point with the turtleneck and everything, and all the dad gimmick. It's outlandish. It's funny. I don't think it's over between him and Nick Wayne. I don't think it's over between him and Darby, and it's definitely not over between him and Luchasaurus. Interested to see how they booked this with Wrestle Dream. We're right on the heels of Wrestle Dream. I'm interested to see how they book this headed into Wrestle Dream.
Yeah, I mean, I almost do get the feeling that this could. I don't think it will, but I think there's after what we saw All Out with the International Championship main eventing, I think there's a slight chance this could end up main eventing a Wrestle Dream. I think it'll be between this or Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr., but the AEW audience don't really know Zack Sabre Jr., so I mean, who knows? It's kind of anybody's guess. Because no way is the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles main event in that show. I do not believe that for a second. But what about you, Kels? How do you feel heading into Wrestle Dream? Cage, Darby Allin, and Christian Cage, everybody's favorite dad, now holding that TNT championship.
Yeah, no, it was a very entertaining match. Darby Allin came out immediately with some white powder in Luchasaurus's face, and he just darted for Cage. I was like, yeah, he's got a game plan, played his role perfectly. The match was obviously, like you say, it was essentially a handicap match. Now I hope there is some kind of payoff for Luchasaurus, because more and more every week I feel like he's just becoming more of a simp, and it's he's just like this big terrifying dude is just handing over titles and not getting the credit he deserves. I hope there's some kind of big payoff, which I was hoping for before they announced that it was going to be Cage and Darby Allin at Wrestle Dream, which I also fear that it's going to be the return of the hot potato. Definitely. I feel like Darby Allin with somehow there'll be some Sting involvement, because obviously he was not at ringside for this one. somehow I feel like maybe at the final fall, it wouldn't surprise me if Sting comes out of nowhere and then just had like interferes and hands Darby Allin the title. But yeah, I'm fine with it. It's Cage played his role. He's playing his role perfectly. I'm just like you as well. At first, I was like, oh, just rolling my eyes, but now he's proper, made me like him more, and I'm just looking forward to any of his promos that he does. So yeah, I just hopefully if they're gonna just do a quick transition to Darby Allin as champion, I hope he's actually champion for a much longer time than the last time he had the TNT title.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. But yeah, it was a good fight. It was a good match. It's a good way to start the show.
I felt a very similar way to you about Luchasaurus. Like, how is this benefiting him? He looks like an idiot, whatever. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, do you really think that Luchasaurus would be on AEW TV at all right now if it wasn't for Christian Cage?
No, I don't think he would. He would just be floundering. Because where he is, he'll be just similar to like the Lance Archers, and they just come in for just a brief feud or anything like that. But yeah, I agree. Clearly they don't trust him on the mic, and because of obviously his gimmick, they use Christian Cage as somehow as a front man to kind of camouflage behind this. Let's call it what it is, a goofy-ish gimmick. It's a man that's dressed as a dinosaur. So if you put Christian Cage with him, it kind of takes a bit of the shine off him for you not to be like rolling your eyes because of all the AEW haters and whatnot. So yeah, I agree. If Christian Cage wasn't by his side, then yeah, he probably wouldn't be on TV right now. They probably maybe would have ran him against Jungle Boy again now that he's a heel. But obviously we all know where that's obviously not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he would be. I don't think he'll be on TV without Christian Cage. So yeah, all the power to him, definitely. But there needs to be a big payoff somehow because he's just made like a simp. He looks like an absolute tool right now. So yeah, you just can't take him seriously.
I just had a thought. Maybe Jack Perry returns at Wrestle Dream and helps Christian Cage get the win.
Well, that's what I was hoping for. Now that he's
run back.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. That now that he's a heel. And then he can have somehow, be alongside Christian Cage, and obviously Cage was just like he just takes him in. He was just like, I told you, you're supposed to have grow backbone. You did. Now, obviously, let's run this company together. That's what I was kind of hoping. That ain't gonna happen anytime soon. I'll be very surprised if he shows up at Wrestle Dream. That's a bit of a random pay-per-view. I'm not gonna lie, for just to return back to the company. But
they're claiming it's the start of a new era. The start of a new era in AEW.
You know how played out that term is. I don't believe that when people say that. Like I remember when WWE did it before when they had that day one pay-per-view, a new era has begun because it's on the 1st of January. Nothing really changed. So it's a played out term. I don't believe that. And it's Tony Khan. Don't believe everything that he says.
I mean, somebody dropped a comment on the show yesterday saying that Nick Wayne should join Christian Cage, and we like the idea and all that. That's what we were talking about. And then somebody dropped a comment saying Nick Wayne should acknowledge Christian Cage like as his father figure. And I'm like, maybe Christian Cage now creates the most morbid faction of all time with Jack Perry and Nick Wayne under him.
Maybe, I don't know. Well, they are leading to. There will be a Nick Wayne heel turn. I agree.
The dead dad dudes.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. This is what people
dudes?
are joking about on Twitter. The most morbid idea ever, but like I could see this happening with this Christian Cage gimmick.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I would like that. I'm actually on board with that.
Nobody laughed when I said it. I was just silence. And
no.
You had to come up with the name. The name is what makes it the triple.
Yeah,
D.
that's what I'm saying. The triple
like
D.
Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri.
No, but honestly,
dead dad dudes.
Honestly, I was going to say the same. Chaos, when you finished, I was going to say the same exact thing. I do think that Jungle Boy, Jack Perry now is going. They're both heel. I think he's going to come back and claim his dinosaur. As funny as that sounds, I think he's going to come back and claim his dinosaur. I think he's going to maybe have a heel. It might be heel versus heel. Christian versus Jack Perry, which honestly would probably be pretty funny now with everything that's going on now with Christian. He's really entertaining. Honestly, he's reinvigorated himself again. I love what Christian's doing. The match last night was great. I just think Darby Allin's like too played out right now for me. I think he needs to kind of like take a break, like, and actually heal up before he goes into the next match. Because I want to see, yes, he's been amazing. Yes, he's going all out, but there's going to come a point where he's going to get injured, unfortunately. And I don't want to say this, and I hope that it just never happens, but I don't want Darby to get injured, and I want him to be more of like a favorited wrestler, because he is an original and he is one of the pillars, as people say, of AEW. So I do believe that he should take a seat right now and let things go on around him until it's the right time for him to come back.
No, I mean that's a great point. That is, bro. I mean, I share similar views to you as well with Darby. I mean, he's somebody who's so great. He really is amazing, but the style he's going at, the speed he's going at, if he was to have a TNT Championship run where he defended it each and every week again, you got to worry for the guy's health, because he's a tremendous talent. He really, really is. But it's one of those things where a few years ago, I mean, Will Ospreay said it. I think it was Jericho who phoned Ospreay telling him to like tone down his style, and otherwise he wouldn't be wrestling in a few years. And Ospreay's now said a few years later, he was right. I did have to slow down the style. And I mean, Ospreay slowed his style down, and he still does crazy things in like big moments, and he's still killing as a wrestler. In fact, I think he's better than ever. So I really do hope.
And Ben, to your point, I'll say, I mean, even All Out this year, I was there right on the front row, right on the corner. The spot in the corner and the spot on the stairs were the two most violent of the night by pure velocity, right? Yes, we saw Moxley. Yes, we saw Danielson bleed and a lot on that card at All Out in Chicago. But the spots that Darby took, when he hit the guardrail, I mean, the security guard went 15 feet away as he hit the rail, running because of the sound of the impact behind him on the guardrail as it shifted towards us. Like, and then the steps spot. Nobody is more willing to put their body on the line than Darby Allin. So, and that's credit to him. But to you guys' point, sustainability, I want Darby to be around for a long time because his charisma is so great and he's such a great performer. Those spots are incredible. It was amazing to see it from a foot away, but like, you know,
it's something which is amazing to see, but he's doing it on a weekly basis, and it's great for crowds every week. Nobody in those crowds is ever going to complain, but it's like, I mean, his entire philosophy, he's even said it is, he's here for a good time, not a long time, but it's an awful philosophy.
Yeah, just look at Foley and Jeff Hardy, like
it's kind of always been mine.
And what Darby's doing is worse.
Yeah,
like, I mean, he's taking more extreme bumps more regularly.
Yeah, and he's just like throwing his body around. It just looks like a human sack of flesh, just like pounding into metal every single week, and it's just something's gonna end up combusting soon. And I really hope it doesn't. I just need him to slow down so he can be here for a good time and a long time. I want both. Why can't we have both, guys?
Exactly. Yes, great call.
But yeah, hopefully he takes some inspiration from Will Ospreay. You know, he's around and about at a lot of these AEW shows. Hopefully Darby takes some inspiration from him and just slows down his style a few notches, because you can still have fantastic matches and then pull out these big moves in special ones. Easily you can. But now let's talk about two guys who understand that logic very, very well. In Andrade El Idolo and Jay White. You guys know me. I'm a big fan of both of these guys, and they had a very, very solid match. David Sheldon, I think, said it best in his Collision review, where he said that this felt like a match which was just setting up the foundation for a better second match. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a great match. It was. But it was setting the foundation for, I think, an even better match, a potentially 5-star match down the line, as that's what these two are capable of together. Two people who I think are highly underutilized in this AEW men's singles division right now, and hopefully this will, this feud will take them to new heights together. But what is your opinion on it, Clark? What did you think about this contest on Collision?
I've been begging for weeks for Jay White to look like Switchblade, to be that killer. And yes, last night he got the win. But what are we doing with Andrade? I've never understood this. I can't remember the last time Andrade won a rivalry. Every single time he's been matched up against somebody in AEW, he's been knocked down a peg. and knock down a peg and knock down a peg. And so if this rematch is the direction, it better make Andrade look world class as he is. We've talked about promos, we've talked about other stuff. I think the problem for Andrade and AEW is if you look at the language barrier as far as promos are concerned, and then you add guys like Penta, guys like Ray Phoenix, guys even that speak better English, Pac, you all of a sudden start moving Andrade down the list if you're power ranking them. And as much as I love El Idolo and believe he's such a great talent, his success in AEW has been little to none. You know, he had his rivalry with Malachi, he had his rivalry across the board. When's the last time I saw him as truly threatening? I asked myself that this morning. I don't know. It's been too long. Like, he's never been in the TNT title picture. He's never been in the world title picture. And he's basically taken losses to equals, to absolute equals. And I'm, as much as I enjoyed this match, and I've been begging, show us Switchblade. Give us Switchblade. We got Switchblade last night. He got the win, right? Blade Runner, the whole nine. But why did it have to be Andrade?
Yeah.
Can't you have that match with a talent that isn't as important? Right?
I mean,
can't you have that same match?
Here's the argument I'll give, right? About it. A lot of fans lately on Twitter and just in general have been saying to AEW that they're not doing enough for the big matches, especially with guys like Miro and Andrade. They're not putting them against other top competitors. So I think this was, the answer to that. But to your point, these are two underutilized guys. Maybe you could have put Andrade against a John Moxley or something like that. But I thought Andrade looked better actually in the match last night, and then Jay White obviously snuck the win. To be fair,
How about against Trent?
He's
And
not big enough singles name. He's not.
I thought Jay White made himself, as far as selling, look as good as Andrade was made to look.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
he
of
sold
course,
the
yes.
entire
Yes.
match, right?
No,
I
you're right
thought,
there. You are right.
to me, from that perspective, Jay White looked like the star. Andrade needs to be figured out. And he needs to be in a rivalry that feels like it matters. And feels like he should win because it's been way too long.
I can see
Andrade has taken far too many losses.
No,
I can see you want to add something, Brett.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Really quick, I do see this leading to something, but that's only for, I think Andrade would come a couple pegs down, only for what's his faction in what was his faction in New Japan with Naito?
He was never in New Japan. He did a crossover.
What was the faction?
So it was El Ignola. I can never say it. Ingonables. And Andrade was in the original Mexican version, which Naito then took over to Japan with him when he returned from excursion.
I see this becoming a bigger picture with Naito, honestly, in America. So like I feel like they were trying to find out for the past few weeks what faction to kind of go against Andrade and these guys. But I don't believe that it was figured out yet. They tried it with Black. Now they're trying it with Bullet Club. So I believe that there's a possibility of the input of them.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'd love to see that. I really, really would. I do think... I mean, who knows? Maybe it is possible, but I think the timing of it, when you look at the New Japan calendar, I think it'd be tough right now to be able to do that. I think if this was around following, the New Japan Cup, that gap between the New Japan Cup and G1 Climax over there, which is around the time of Forbidden Door, I think that would be perfect timing, but now their schedule's getting a little hectic, but who knows? I mean, if it is, especially for a one-off, I think that's definitely possible. Seeing Naito and Andrade team together, and I would be very intrigued by that. Great take, Brett. But now let's talk about the women's division, because Julia Hart defeated Kiera Hogan in a short match. Julia Hart looked great throughout it. And then after the match, Brody King grabbed the microphone, cut a phenomenal promo on the TBS Women's Champion, Chris Statlander, before Julia Hart then grabbed the mic and added a few words of her own. Julia Hart is a star, right? We often say this about the AEW Women's Division, that not enough of them have characters. And, I mean, to be honest with you, this backs up that point, because when they do have a character, like a Toni Storm or a Julia Hart, I mean, it works. They get over like crazy. So it clearly works when you add, characters, you add more of a reason to care about it. And I think that's what they're doing with Julia Hart. But now she is set to take on Chris Statlander. Chaos, do you think we could see a championship change at Wrestle Dream?
I would love to see it. It's definitely, you're right. Julia Hart is a star. The fact that she's done this character change since leaving the Varsity Blondes? Yeah, Varsity Blondes. And she's committed to it. And she's been quietly building up this streak in the background. She could definitely be a worthy challenger to Chris Statlander, and that match just proved it. It was a fun match, fun TV match, and the ending was solid as well. But then I'm just wondering, would it make sense her out of such a big faction as House of Black, the only person to have a championship, when it would make sense if they all had the gold and she had the championship. So that's what kind of puts me off. I don't think it would make sense for a team like the House of Black and the only champion is Julia Hart. As bad as it might sound, but it would just make sense if they all had some type of gold around them. And right now there's no sign of them actually all becoming champions anytime soon. So I think it'll be a close match. But yeah, I think they definitely are behind Chris Statlander for the long term. Whether that is right or wrong, that's everyone's opinion. That's everyone else's opinion. But yeah, as much as I would like to see a title change, I have to be real, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I would love to see it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree with you there, Chaos. I mean, something which is interesting, linking these past two segments together, is, whatever happened to Andrade El Idolo versus Malachi Black? I was so excited for that.
I was gonna say that they came out. I think that's what I was saying before. That they're trying to find a faction to go up to make this interesting enough. And I think Bullet Club being from Japan, Naito from Japan, let's just get as many views as possible, in my opinion. I think it's going to happen. I really do. I think that they're trying to line up the stars for Miro. Back to your point before, not to get off of this point. I know I'm really not trying to do this, but they created a long-term storyline now for Miro. They created, what's his wife's name now?
CJ
Perry.
CJ Perry. I was going to say Lana, but CJ Perry is now here, and she's going to be managing other people. Now that's going to create storyline for like at least a year now for him. So he's going to be going up against all these different people that. Go ahead, Clark.
Andrade might be the one for CJ. I mean, she hasn't picked yet, but now we're kind of talking. That would be interesting, actually. Now that you're saying that,
I'm not against that. I like that call.
For CJ would be a nice little and really, really kind of like reinvest in Andrade, because I've never understood Andrade has been almost in a weird way like the laydown guy.
Lately, yes.
Well, I think, to be fair, he had injury issues, and then plus I don't think his social media, what he said on social media in the past, has helped him in the company too.
Right.
I mean, when you dog the company you're in on social media, I don't know what you expect in fairness, but he does deserve more. I 100% agree with you. But talking about those people who deserve more, the Workhorsemen deserved more last week, because everybody just chanted, "Who are you?" at them.
Who?
But I mean, it's true. We spoke about it last week. AEW, presuming everyone's watching Ring of Honor, they're not. They should have explained it. But anyway, we got FTR versus Workhorsemen last night, and the match actually delivered less than I expected it to, less than it could have. Didn't get too much time. It was actually too short to rate on our rating system. It wasn't really a squash match, but it was only slightly better than that. FTR got the win. They look great. And then Aussie Open came to the ring. And Aussie Open were on commentary throughout the match, right, between FTR and Workhorsemen. And Aussie Open were great on commentary. Kevin Kelly was great on commentary, explaining the history between Aussie Open and FTR, their match they had at Royal Quest in the UK. That instant classic. And then Aussie Open got in the ring with FTR, and FTR basically said to them, "We don't want the Aussie Open who lost, MJF and Adam Cole. We want the Aussie Open, which we saw over a year ago at Royal Quest. And that's the Aussie Open that we want to face." And this segment was brilliant. I spoke about it already, about how most of the, casual AEW fan base just won't care about this match, right? Yes, it's going to be a banger, but most of them just won't know really enough about Aussie Open. They've not been given a reason to care, while this promo, this entire segment, did a great job at starting to build that. And maybe it's too little too late or whatever, but I do think that I'm a lot more excited for the match now than I was before last night, and I think a lot of other people are too. I have no doubt this could very easily steal the show at Wrestle Dream, but Bret, give me your thoughts on it.
It very much will steal the show at Wrestle Dream. I guarantee it. This is going to be an amazing match, and I honestly am saying that I feel like Aussie Open is at least top 5 best tag teams in the entire world right now. Maybe even top 3, to be completely honest with you. But I think that last night almost proved the point that they're more than just wrestlers. They can actually hold a microphone and do cool things for us on screen as well. So I believe that this is FTR almost giving them that pick me up, because that last pay-per-view All In, they looked a little, it's a little lame for them to lose to a brand new team as Aussie Open, being like from the Kingdom and things like that. So as what they claim, and that's their whole gimmick. So I feel like they needed a strong pick-me-up, and I think that FTR will do so. And I think that at Wrestle Dream, we're going to get one of the best tag team matches that we've seen in the past year.
Wow, I hope you're right, and I really don't think, it's much of a wild shout to presume you are. They've already done it. They've already had a brilliant match at New Japan Pro Wrestling, Royal Quest, and now for them to do it in AEW, that'd be great. And then you've got another tag team in Aussie Open, which the AEW fans will care about, presuming enough people watch the pay-per-view, which hopefully they will. Because it is a strong card, but it's one of those cards where you're like, it's kind of for the hardcore fans, so you're not sure about buys, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, I do agree with you, Bret. I certainly think it could steal the show. But talking about stealing the show, let's talk about what stole the show last night on AEW Collision. And that was Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks 2. This was rated on the Wrestling Republic reviewing system by David Sheldon as 4.75 stars. And it was this close to 5 stars. I mean, David messaged me this morning. We spoke about it. We didn't know whether or not it was going to get that 5. In the end, I thought it just wasn't quite innovative enough because a lot of the spots were the same as their previous match. And also, for me, the finish kind of fell flat because of commentary. They did an awful job. Weren't even really paying attention. And then they were kind of like shocked, but not a good shocked. They were just kind of like shocked. Like, oh, it's over now. And I mean, yeah, the one thing I will say about this match, Jim Ross, it was not one of his finest moments on commentary. And that's sad to say, as I really, really love JR. But back to the actual competitors. Danielson and Starks, they tore the house down. I mean, on a week where you had Dynamite Grand Slam, it's very hard to say, another show had a match of the week. But I think this was match of the week. They really did tear it down. Not quite as good as their first match, in my opinion, but certainly not a million miles away from it. Danielson got the win again. Very interesting. You kind of do wonder what's next for Starks now. I mean, perhaps he's a possible, person to link up with CJ Perry. I know he's already got Big Bill under him, but I mean, Miro is the face, him as the heel in the feud. But one thing's for sure, Starks can't continue to take losses. But Bret, I'll send this one to you first. What did you think I forgot I went to you second on the first segment. Brad, what's your thoughts on this? Did you think Did you think it was better than that first match?
I do not think it was better than the first match. I thought last night was a little dragged out, and if you're gonna call it Texas Death Match, right? That's what they called it. I believe that they should have done a lot more to represent that name. I don't just by bringing a chain in the ring and throwing a guy around the barricades through the arena does not qualify that as a Texas Death Match in my opinion. So it was bloody. They both were bleeding, but it didn't really do it for me. I don't think it was even close to 4.75 stars. No offense to David, no offense to you. I think, in my opinion, the MJF Joe match was 10 times better. But that is just me. I think it was good, like I said, but I think Ricky's going to be leaving soon. I don't know. I just don't.
Oh, wow.
I just don't see him. I feel like they're trying to get him to stay right now by putting these matches on him and giving him these matches, but he sees the light down the road and he's willing to kind of step out and maybe step in there. And then, because he can always come back. There's always room for Ricky to come back. And honestly, like everyone who's an AEW fan who's been following from day one would probably love that too. If he would come back, if he ever did come back, but they wouldn't obviously want to see him leave. I just thought last night's match was not the best Texas Death Match, or I don't think it was close to 4.7 stars. I think it was 3 stars in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I will add really quick. I'm sorry. I don't mean to take any time away from anyone else. Do they like each other or do they not like each other? Because they were beating the living crap out of each other last night.
I think when Danielson does that, I think that's a sign of respect.
Okay, because they were actually punching each other in the face at one point, and I was like, "This is insane." Yes, it was that was the only part that got me. I was like, "Whoa," but that's really it. Yeah.
I mean, I will say Texas Death Match. I mean, to be fair, why it's called a death match is a bit of another thing. But what that is it basically means just basically a last man standing match, right? Traditionally, it'd have to be pinned and then a 10 count is initiated after that. That was the traditional one. But a Texas Death Match it's basically a last man standing match.
Plus submission, Ben.
Oh, plus submission as well. I mean, that was even in the initial rules. I think that was added by
No,
AEW.
it was because they used it way back in the day in a few Terry Funk Texas Death matches. It's submission or 10 count. It's essentially almost the equivalent of a mixed martial arts fight where there's no rules. It's a 10 count to the finish or submission or referee's discretion on somebody passing out. That's kind of a new one. They probably would have not done that back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the rules are submission or 10 count.
Yeah. Submission was added in the mid 80s. So that's where I got it wrong. I was looking at the 70s rules.
You're good.
But and then like you said, I think then the referee discretion, that's a very new thing. But what about you, Chaos? What did you think about this match? Did you think it was a great match of the week, or do you think that it is kind of being overrated by us a little bit?
Comparing to all the matches that happened during the week, this one definitely stands out. Now, obviously, do I also agree with everyone here? Do I think it was better than their first match? No, I think obviously they still kind of played it safe. Kind of protected Brian a little bit because it looks like he's not fully healed. Because that's what we learned about from the first match that they had. But yeah, it was hard hitting. It was great. And also, this wasn't the best Texas Death Match. This doesn't beat Hangman Adam Page versus John Moxley. That match was brutal as hell. But yeah, no, it was fine for what it was. What do you guys said about possibly Lana managing Starks? Starks doesn't need a manager. Come on, man. That guy is a manager of his own. Like he doesn't need someone that needs promo or do some dirty work. He's the one he played his role perfectly, managing Big Bill. So
I said Andrade personally, by the way.
Say again?
I never said managing Starks. I said Andrade.
That was me. No.
I knew someone said something about managing Starks.
I said it.
Yeah. So yeah. Yes, Starks wouldn't be a good fit in, but yeah. Other than that, the match was fine for what it was. And yeah, he needs to get something major, another major program, because I do feel like that CM Punk thing definitely messed Starks up. Even though they try to make it back, but yeah, I think he needs to. I think he's in line for a major championship, probably the TNT title if it's back to hot potatoing again. But yeah, no, that's all I can say. Really, do I agree? Was it 5.7 stars? I'm sorry, no, it
No,
was
not
at least a
5
4.
point.
No,
4.7.
4.75. I know, that's what I
Right,
said.
sorry.
4.75. But yeah, I think it was at least a 4, just about making a 4. But yeah,
Right,
I
okay.
digress. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like our system, we are more in terms of, you've got to find areas to mark it down based on the rubric, which all of you guys can see at WrestlingRepublic.com as well. But yeah, I mean, this was one of those matches where I don't want to call it a fluke match, but it kind of did everything like so, like it ticked all the boxes for a perfect match almost. And you're kind of like, watching it, I didn't get that impression. So this is one of the only times I've actually had that since we implemented this
And
system.
I agree. I also agree with the commentating as well. The commentators, they were lazy. Like I said, they did not care. JR was making his little jokes and stuff, and then yeah, like you say, it was just abrupt. They were just in their own world. That kind of definitely takes you out a bit. But that's like only if you really care about the commentating. Sometimes I usually just
honestly,
yeah.
Honestly, the commentating, I don't mean to cut you off at all either. I don't think that team is good at all. I don't think JR and the team from last night mesh well at all. I think JR and the team from Dynamite mesh well completely.
Yeah,
together.
agreed.
Yeah.
So I just think, no offense, JR, but let's put you back on Wednesday.
I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm just not a fan of JR anymore, and I've been a fan of him for so long.
Whoa! Take
No,
that
I know.
back. I had to say something
no.
else. You can't just ruin what I was gonna say next.
I won't. I'll let it get. I'll let it get.
Now I have to defend Jim Ross.
Oh, great. No, we'll get into the Jim Ross thing another day. Very quickly on the Starks. Reason I said that, clarified it very quickly, is Starks and Miro, I think that would be a good feud, and having CJ Perry briefly manage him and then switch sides, because I think it's going to be one feud thing before she switches back. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing, because people are already complaining about her managing other people, so I don't think Tony Khan's going to keep it
belongs to the
long.
streets. I'm joking.
Well, in the words
anyway,
of the great,
Clark, your thoughts?
In the words of the great Will Smith, I think you should keep Jim Ross's name out of your mouth, Ben.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. On top of that,
the JR joke.
I'll say this. Don't get me wrong. I love David Shelton to death, but the strap match was better. I mean, if you like Billy Joel,
it was rated better. The strap match was 5-star on our system. This was 4.7.
So that got 5. This was 4.75. Yeah, and for it only to be a quarter star less is fine, I guess. But what I'll say is, like, this was a little like seeing Billy Joel in a smaller city than you saw him before. He's always going to play the hits, right? And the crowd's going to be rocked, but it's not the same electricity, and it wasn't. As the strap match, this wasn't the same gimmick. It was the same gimmick in the chokes, all of that. In execution, right? They played the hits. They went full Billy Joel, but it was not the same electricity, all of that. This match was exciting. It was awesome. I love Bryan Danielson as much as the next guy. I'm not excited for him to retire at all, because I know how much the dude has left in the tank. This match was awesome. I enjoyed the finish. Ricky Starks needs to be in a title picture and needs to be treated as the star that he is. And that's where we go from here. We don't need a trilogy. This was the end of it. It's over.
I mean,
right?
it's 2-0. They can't really do a trilogy.
I don't want any more. But I want Ricky Starks to be Ricky Starks. And the only shame in my eyes that could possibly come out of this is if it turns into Danielson and Ricky Starks are still on the same level and they're still in the same portion of the card. They're still in the same storylines. They're still working with each other. That work has been done. It's been a month. We saw the strap match. Outstanding. The Texas Death match, I enjoyed. That's enough for me.
Great point there. I do agree with you. Let's hope that Ricky Stark is on to, bigger, and I don't want to say bigger and better things, because Danielson's great, but let's hope, he's moving on to the title picture. But guys, that does bring us to the end of the show today. Tomorrow will be Mailbag Monday. So make sure you guys head to our Instagram and ask us some questions for us to answer tomorrow live on air. So I'll be putting that Instagram poll up on the story immediately following the show. So you can head right over, and we'll be back tomorrow the same time as today to answer those questions. Thank you to Clark, thank you to Chaos, and thank you to Bret. There we are. I got it right. No, I still can't.
You did.
There we are.
No,
Bret,
you got it right.
For joining me here today. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and if you're on Spotify, please hit a cheeky 5 stars. Thank you, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Jim
Enjoy
Ross
your
is
night.
the GOAT.
I don't disagree, Clark.